What is up, Shark Nation? We've got a live one for you here today. How you doing, Marky B, out there in you're in Glenageary. It's where I used to live. How's it going?
All good. It is absolutely roasting. I don't know if anybody else is, but it's sticky.
It's a sticky one. It's 17 degrees. I know our international listeners will not be too impressed with that, but it's been pretty sticky around here, which is good to know. And I'm absolutely buzzing today. Not only I've had a brilliant day as well. So the guys that are here, Daragh, Jordan, and Erik. Yeah, I'm going to say Jentetics because it sounds great. I know I'm mispronouncing that, but it sounds like it's the way to go. These guys have been in business for 3 years. Their business is called Grafton Digital, digital marketing. These guys are just 20. Been in business for 3 years. Okay, let's play a game. So guys, we'll dig into this in a second. Okay, Mark Baker, what were you doing 20 years old? What is Mark Baker doing 20 years old?
20 years old, I was probably finishing my arts degree, realizing that I didn't have to get a real job, and I thought I was going to be an artist for the rest of my life because my paintings were selling for big money for a 20-year-old. That went downhill. I blame the recession.
When I was 20, I was only a year in college or something like that, and I was in EOS in Greece, and I was going to stay there. This is my kind of a secret idea. Like I was going to stay there and open an Irish bar for to be really original out there, because I went to an Irish bar there and it was crap, and I just thought we can do this better. Anyway, so that was when I was 20. Basically, what I'm saying here is I was in business for 3 years at that stage. So maybe we'll have a chat to the guys here. So Daragh, you're CEO, right?
Yeah, that's me.
You're steering the ship, and Erik, are you the kind of the technical guy?
Yeah, the guy that does all the work.
Cool. And how would you explain? How would you kind of like describe the business to the listeners that haven't heard of Grafton Digital?
So I suppose currently we're a website and app development company. Obviously, like I said, started 3 years ago. We originally started in the more digital marketing space with social media marketing and content creation, and then over the last year we've niched down just to web and app, just for numerous reasons, which maybe we can get into a little bit later. I suppose we saw in the industry that, well, one, there wasn't much attention to detail in the creative space, but two, a lot of our competitors are not very customer centric. And it's one thing we thought by doing that really well and having a really good inbound and outbound sales procedure, we could really stand out, nationally and internationally. And then over the last 12 months, we've been expanding kind of into international markets. And obviously the next big one we're breaking into the moment is the US. So, yeah.
So I'm excited about this one. Me and Mark always wanted to break America, but we never actually made it there. When I think about this, when I think about you guys going there, this is the kind of the vibe. I mean, you guys are probably too young for that. Have you ever watched Rattle and Hum?
No. Horror time.
Okay, tonight, whatever you're doing, scrap what you're doing. It's on YouTube, I think. It's anyway. So it's the U2 guys. They're going to go break America, and this is the kind of vibe that I'm feeling. Me and Mark have talked about going to America and starting businesses for 20 years, Mark?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Wow.
I almost did. I went to Canada for a while, but I never actually did anything in the States.
You're in Vancouver.
Vancouver, yeah. Amazing place if you like all the technology and all that type of outdoor living and all that type of stuff. But, okay, so you guys you're based out of Galway. You've got a place in Dublin as well,
yeah.
But you guys are thinking about the Big Apple. Is that kind of where the opportunity is, or is it anywhere in America? So
I suppose we've been looking at a lot of the states over the last couple of months, and I suppose the likes of New York and California is really good. And we want to really try and meet as many people as we can while we're there. But I suppose from an outbound sales perspective, we're looking more towards the fast expanding states. A lot of people are pouring out of New York, pouring out of California, heading towards Texas, heading towards Florida, heading towards Utah, all these kind of other states. So I suppose we're looking more towards the fast expanding states and also fast expanding industries, because if you look at some of the bigger industries, you already have key players there that would be maybe small and more difficult to try and break into. So I suppose we're looking more towards fast expanding industries like renewable energy, like EV, that sort of stuff. So that's more the thought process we're having at the moment currently.
So it's so interesting. It's great the way you're kind of thinking about maybe a different approach and just going after the kind of tried and tested areas.
Yeah.
I think that this it's an interesting kind of topical thing for me and Mark, because we're relaunching Shark.ie. And we've been trying to figure out building the website and stuff. And it's still not easy to do, Mark, is it? What do you think?
No, I've built websites with Shopify, but that's not really for this type of thing. I've used Squarespace, I've used WordPress, but I've tried Wix there on this one. I thought it'd be easier, but it's not. If it's not your speciality or what you're doing, like my time is best spent other places. I could be making more money doing something else than trying to build my own website. So yeah, so it's tough.
Right there. And so here's on the other side of the coin, guys. We work with like digital. So in HubSpot, we work with digital agencies, for want of a better word, quite a lot. In fact, it's kind of it's a $200 million chunk of what we do. So $200 million of our revenue comes through agencies. So there's a big a big chunk of revenue out there to go after. But it is, whenever I look at the space, it scares the shit out of me, because I'm thinking there is so many people or so many competitors there. A lot of them are quite small, fragmented. It's hard to kind of see which like the difference between them. But I think that there is opportunities there, because I work with a lot of partners in HubSpot as well. And I think there's opportunities there with differentiation, like you're saying, going after specific industries. I'm shocked that how little kind of verticalization that goes on with that type of business. So I think that's really interesting. Have you guys done that already right now, or did you, in the first 3 years, did you kind of cast a wide net to get a bit of a portfolio going?
Yeah, definitely. We went for a wider portfolio because we really felt like, networking is where we're going to get our referrals. I think in our industry, referrals and trust is the biggest thing. And a lot of our competitors lack the trust with their customers currently. So hence we've introduced different procedures to actually allow the trust and the relationship. We're very much relationship-based business. So we try to include the customer in many aspects of the development. However, as Mark was saying there, you guys, everybody has their own things to look after. So we've introduced weekly reports, and we've heavily invested in our customer service. Therefore, the trust and, the process can be maintained, and we can actually ensure quality as we grow as well. Because, I think anyone that starts in this industry, there's so much business that you're going to expand really fast.
And also, I think the fact we're so young as well, honestly, we were just taking anything that was coming our way. We were knocking on doors, cold calling. We exasperated any relationship we possibly had, or any friends and families or friends of friends. So it was anything at the start just to get up off the ground and just see, did the model work realistically? Man,
that is such a great thing to do at the beginning as well. And I think, I've got one person that I know is they went out on their own, and they did a kind of a partnership, more of a technical partnership for like SAP style stuff. But they were ultra selective on the types of stuff. They're like, well, that's not really where our expertise lies. I'd be like, just take it, figure it out later. You've got no customers, that was and the guy who he's going to be listening to this, and yeah, you should have took that customer anyway. So I think it's super interesting. So 20. So let's talk about the compounding effect for you guys. I'm 32, and I feel like I'm just getting going. Mm-hmm. So in 12 years' time, you guys can really the expansion. You've got so much time you could retire when you're 30. Because you got started this early, which is great. Not that you'd want to do that, but it's what I want to do. Mark always tells me he wouldn't retire. I'd be like, just go to the beach. I want out. But so what's the how does the business model work? As in, is it just for you guys? Is it just we're doing project-based work where we have a deliverable on some date, and then you work towards that, or is there any ongoing stuff that you can kind of? Is there cross-sell, upsell opportunities in that type of business? How does that work?
Yeah, so I suppose our main revenue stream is project work, so developing actual websites and apps. However, we offer hosting and maintenance and support, and also SEO. So these are all kind of ongoing month-to-month accounts that we look after. So SEO is trying to get people on top of Google, and your hosting and your emails, we're Google accredited, and we're also Microsoft partners. Therefore, we can resell these services and support our partners throughout working with us. So, you know, it's kind of a two-way revenue stream. We have recurring revenue, and we also have kind of once-off accounts that we take.
Fabulous. It's an interesting thing with I don't know. See, it might be just like a regional thing, but I used to work in the Nordics quite a lot, and a lot of my partners there used to build these big it was really a retainer business that they were working on. So they did a lot of the creative stuff. But now a really good friend of mine is COO of a really, really fast scaling agency in Oslo. So I'm going to put her in touch with you guys, and maybe she can tell you kind of what they're doing, because they are, if you're listening to this, I've heard about some of the deals that they've done, and it's crazy. It's crazy out there, Mark Baker. You know?
Yeah, please do. Really appreciate it. Yeah,
please.
We'll sort that out. And if she's listening out here, I'm going to give out your email address, your personal one. So that's you can come at me after that. So okay, so when are you guys flying out to America?
So we're actually just after here. Just after this, we're gonna book our flight. So we're gonna spend. We have to quarantine in Mexico for 15 days, and then we're gonna head to New York. So we're gonna spend 2.5 weeks in New York, try and network as much as possible. We've been recommended like the Irish network, there's the Irish Connecticut link, and just try and meet as many people as possible. And also, like, I suppose we're still so young, like I said, living in Galway, like we were saying just before the podcast, to try and get that, you know, get that American bug. You know, like, I think the way business is done over there is drastically different. You know, obviously Garrett Flower, we would both know, is over there. He just moved over to New York, and one of our friends as well, Thomas Arnold, living over in California now in LA with the Go House LA. He'd be one of our very close friends. So I suppose we're seeing everyone kind of heading over there and having great experiences. So I suppose it was always in our vision to get over there, but I suppose it's been accelerated partially probably because of COVID and the expansion of our business and industry, and also seeing everyone else going over there and having great success.
It's amazing. And once you get over there, you really get to, so I lived in Canada. It's not exactly the same as America, but there's the same type of thing. It's kind of the North American, they don't, people, there's a few things about it. Like, one, people aren't worried as much about tenure as they are in Ireland. So in Ireland, people just want to make sure that they have a job. If you get fired in Ireland, it is a big deal. You know, you better have a narrative, Mark Baker. You're a recruiter. You know, if someone comes into you, I got the sack, you're like, I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're looking at little gaps in CVs and stuff and everything, or gaps in LinkedIn. What was that? You know, what did they do there for the year? You know,
I think so. But in Vancouver, it was like everyone just believed everything was going to be okay, and that gives this thing where you look at someone's CV, they've been at like 8 places before they're 30, and everyone's like, "Yeah, that's awesome. You got all this diversity in your background." Wow. You know, everyone, like, it's not so personal. The way it is here, the way it's like, I don't know, it just makes the whole place a lot more dynamic. And I don't know if it's because this is something I was wondering as well, Mark. Remember I was in Canada and I was calling you, and I was telling you about all these stories about all the stuff that was happening, right? And it was all this adventure. It was all this, you know, every week I had another story about this, the guy I met, this is what he's doing, this VC guy, you know. And then it just seems like in Ireland, it's not as dynamic. So I arrived as an immigrant, and then like 6 months later, I'm in like a penthouse for Canada Day with some VC millionaire guy watching the fireworks, or I'm on some guy's uncle's yacht with my bag of cans and stuff. And I'm like, how did this happen? It's like, it's just everything. Everyone's so open over there. Like, Ireland's a great place, and Galway specifically is a great place. But I think New York City might be something that'd be very interesting. And also the networking stuff, I guess, are they open? Like, can you go meet people, or is it going to be, do you know, can you network?
I'm nearly certain New York's, it's a little bit slower to open, but it's opening nicely. And I think California was a little bit slow to open as well, and they're fairly well open now at this point as well, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. So you can go.
If you think about it, when things do open up, there will be a surge of these networking events, and there will be a surge of people looking to do business. So I do think it's actually, you might say, look, well, they're not just wait until that happens, and, you know, but I think it's probably better to actually get in and start meeting people now, and before the influx of everybody and you get lost in the mix, maybe.
Yeah, hugely, because there will be a huge influx and movement around, and the fact that things are still just slowly but surely opening up, I think it's a great time to get over. And even if it's only a quick introduction, you never know. I'm a big proponent looking back, even though the last 3 years, the butterfly effect of these small little interactions, this small little decisions have huge impacts going forward. Like, as a quick background, when I was in transition when I was 15, I did work experience for one of the biggest marketing agencies in Ireland, and they had big accounts. It's from small accounts all the way to enterprise level accounts. And they handed me a social media plan with photos, low quality photos of some shop, and they said, "Here, go write some social media posts." And I said, "Well, what do I write about?" And they were like, "It doesn't matter. It's only social media." That one line of him saying that to me, and then getting paid thousands and thousands of euros a month, led me on to start studying marketing at 15, to go starting this business, and then just the whole snowball effect. And actually, as a real wrap up, we actually bought tables recently for the office. They'd actually gone and liquidated in early 2020 because of COVID, and we actually bought the tables off of him. We didn't even realize we got down to the offices, and I'd never met the owner of the business. And I told him, because of you, I started this business. And he's actually been very sound and really nice guy, but they had huge accounts, but he said he didn't invest heavily enough in digital. But I, at 15, had actually spotted that he never upskilled the staff. He didn't believe in making that investment then, and that was to the demise of his business. So it's just those little decisions, those little interactions can have such a huge effect long term.
I'd say it's so important to keep your finger on the pulse as you get older as well in the business. You know, so surrounding yourself by younger staff and taking their opinions on board is going to be vital in that particular industry for sure.
Usually, and you have to, because if you fall out, like, you see complacency kills, like it genuinely does in business. Like even like pre-COVID, if I was talking to someone about doing social media or getting a website, they were like, I don't need it, I'm grand.
In your face.
Literally, like I was trying to justify the need for it. Then literally COVID kicks in, then they realize everything goes online, Ireland being reactive towards the whole digital space. And then I'm getting phone calls from the same people going, actually, I need this now. Oh no, I need this yesterday. And I'm like, well, no, actually, we're super busy. We're going to have to try to factor this in. So no, you're dead right. Definitely keeping your finger on the pulse and trying to look at trends coming down the line and not getting complacent is really important.
When did you start thinking that maybe Ireland, I'm not saying Ireland's too small, but Ireland isn't big enough for you? When did you start thinking bigger about maybe UK, maybe America? How soon into your...
we were actually, for me anyways, is Thomas Arnold. We were chatting to him when he was in the works of moving the Go House over to LA.
And for the people that might be listening, don't know who Tom Arnold is. He's a friend of the podcast. I think it was back in the 30s. And he was a guy who was big on YouTube, started a place called the Go House, which was basically a group of influencers that all lived together, and was, I guess the business model is to generate views and content around just their lifestyle. And since then, they've moved from Ireland out to Los Angeles. Mark Baker. That's actually where me and Mark were going to live at one stage. We were.
Wow.
It was, but you guys probably don't even remember the OC. It was a big deal to me, Mark. Anyway, okay, cool. So Thomas Arnold's kind of
good friend of the podcast. Yeah. So when he mentioned we were talking about advertisement spend of different countries like the UK. And when he said compared to Ireland, the US has advertisement spend over 400 times more than the Irish market. 400 times. I think that kind of takes on both of us. And I suppose since we got introduced to the likes of Andy Macken and Garrett Flower, they've all said that the US is a completely different fish, and like just go after it, because there's so much. The idea of investing into digital over there is so much different to Ireland. Yeah. You know, Ireland is constantly behind in market trends, digitalization, and all these kind of factors. And we really think that like we need to work with people that believe in us and our services, because then we can actually deliver. Yeah. And like a lot of Irish people get a website for the sake of getting a website. They don't actually believe that it's going to generate revenue, leads, or anything at all. And I think it's really important to just cop on in a way and believe that having a website and not having a website in 2021 is a big fault for the business. You know, you got to move on with the times. We were the guys that were watching YouTube when we were, 12. We were the guys that went on to the first Facebook, so we know this, we understand this area. So why not give it to the experts,
Exactly. And I think here's something here from all my experience selling things, like Ireland and the UK to a certain extent, not as much. And one of our avid listeners, Mark Baker, always thinks that I'm bashing Ireland. I'm not at all. I love it here. This is my home. I will stay here forever. But sometimes when you're selling here, the people who are buying, even if it's quite a big business, go on like it's their personal money, which is very difficult. You know, like it's like if they're a business owner, they feel like it's coming out of their bank account. And when I was selling, I sold software in Canada, and I used to come in. I'd be on the phones at like 6 a.m. because I wanted to sell to the East Coast. And it was like unlimited sales you could do. It didn't like you're only limited by the amount of calls that you could make, basically. And it was like it's not shooting fish in a barrel, but you know, if you could, all you have to do is get in touch with the person who is, you know, who can make a decision, and then basically give them a good deal, and they go, yeah, sure, send over the paperwork. It was like we were, sometimes when I came back to Ireland and I was talking to I was interviewing for roles here, I was telling them about that. And some people didn't believe me about the numbers we were doing. And I was saying, yeah, there was like 6 people on the sales team and we had North America to ourselves. You could just like, it was, it's so big. It's hard to, until you go there, until you start to talk to people, until you start to sell over there. It's very competitive, but there's just so much out there. And as people are so open, I would like, they'd send me their bills for their software and say, can you do any better than that? I'm like, yeah, sure. I can do like 2% better than that. Yeah, cool. Send it on. It was like, we were just, Mark Baker, I always call you as well. I remember walking in, I'm like, this is amazing. I can't believe they've done this.
I think all Irish people have ever needed is the opportunity. Yeah. You know, I think the hustle, there was a lot of hustle in Irish people historically. And look, you only have to look at America and the likes of New York, and you know that's who built New York.
Literally.
But over here, it's at times, because we're a small nation, there's a little bit of lack of opportunity, a little bit of scarcity, and that kind of mentality seeps in a bit. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I love about America. It's the land, it's the land of opportunity.
It's Mark Baker, do you think that there's a market for financial recruitment in New York? What do you think?
I visited New York a couple of Christmases ago, and I think Kim even just turned and said to me, you know, you'd run rings around these people if you set up here. Just the people that we interacted with. Yeah. Something about the Irish way. I felt it as well. I thought, Jesus, this, and I wasn't talking to any recruitment people, but I just thought like it seemed really, really possible that, you know, you'd almost have a step up on other people because you're Irish.
Yeah.
I had a friend actually who moved to, actually, I'm not gonna name any countries. I'm not gonna name any names. But he went to a different country, and his whole kind of thing was he was doing very well there. You know, on the dating scene. And traditionally the people in that country were a lot better looking than, well, maybe not a lot, you know, like Irish guys on their own. But okay, but maybe we're not the most stylish group or like, well groomed. I don't know. But this guy was cleaning up, and you know, we went to visit him, and we're like, this is different than you're performing at home. And his whole thing was like, these guys, like, they're so good looking that they never had to have anything else. So if you've been in coppers for years,
training that
rejection muscle, and if you have no ego, you don't care about rejection, just whatever. Like I was thinking of this the other day, like that's part of the fun. I'm not talking about just the dating thing, but like in the sales thing as well. When you go over to America, when you're calling people in America, do you know if you call somebody, Mark Baker, you call somebody in Provo, Utah, and try to sell them digital services, and they say no, who gives a shit? They don't know you. They can't like bump into your mom and said, oh yeah, I got a cold call from your son. That was weird. It's like it's like you have free reign. Also, everyone wants to talk to you because you have a different accent. You call them, I used to call them in Canada, and I'd be like, oh, you know, I'd call people in Saskatchewan, be like, oh, you know, I saw that you were on the website and stuff like that. And then they'd be like, where are you from? Like, oh, I'm from Ireland. And you know what? I came to Canada with a dream. You want to see me do well, don't you? And then they would laugh and be like, you want to see a young Irish man? I'm off the boat. I'm trying to do it. I said, I've left, and I kind of like built it up like it was kind of still famine. I know it was a couple of years ago. But you know, I'm trying to paint an image that I've left my friends and family, right? I've come here. I need to do this demo. What do you say? They love that. They go, they'll
was it you that was telling me, look, you look at the second names, the surnames of people, and if they had Irish surnames. the chances were much better.
So here's a little yarn. I don't know if I told you. I think might be on episode 2 or something when we're doing the intros. But when I went to Vancouver at first, we got there and we had gone to South America for a little bit longer than we thought. So we're down there for months on end. Mark calling me, he's like, I'm like, I'm in the Amazon, I can't talk, and he's like, do you need money? I'm like, yes. So Mark was worried about me, but I came back and then we went to Canada. We didn't have that much money when we got there. So we took like whatever jobs we could just get going. And I wanted to get into tech. I'd left investment banking. It was in Davy Stockbrokers at the time. And I'd left. So I wanted to go into tech. And it was kind of hard to break in a little bit because I didn't have that background. So I remember I sat down one night in my little kind of basement apartment in Vancouver, and I made a list of all of the tech companies in that area. So just on paper. And then I went to LinkedIn and I mapped out every Irish sounding last name that I could possibly find. And I just started cold calling them and said, and none of them were Irish either, which was like, this guy used to tell me, he was like, Complacency, hadn't never been to Ireland, But anyway, so the person that I finally connected with, her name was Aisling Breen. And I heard that name and I'm like, bingo, here we go.
Winner.
Crack, and her parents are from Tipperary, and that's how we got going there. And then she really helped me out get a job. So once I started there flying, it's like the trajectory there is like, it's not comparable to anything else, I think. So I mean, that might be if you guys want to go with a list of Irish sounding names, and that's your, I call them, be like, Michael, Mihal, how's it going? Be like, what? Oh, Michael O'Sullivan. I thought we were cousins. What's going on? And then
you might hop in the corners of Boston or whatever and just start running up to people and going, oh, you look Irish. Are you Irish?
Go to Boston, everyone looks like my cousin.
Yeah.
These freckly pale people are my people out there. So Mark, what's on your mind about this business? I know you're I've got a good background about this, but for the people listening, you'd be a good representation about that. What are you curious about kind of the digital space? Like, what the fuck?
I was about to ask. So let's use my company as an example. So finance recruitment company, kind of boutique. We're all accountants. We've all been there, done it before. We kind of give a kind of almost like consultancy approach to helping people get jobs and stuff, and people looking to hire people to accountants. We're 2.5 years in business, have a good website. Well, my opinion about a good website. Decent presence on LinkedIn, crappy presence everywhere else because I just didn't lend that well to Instagram and Twitter, and people looking for jobs, they don't go to there, No. Probably not doing great on SEO because we haven't really focused on it. That's just being honest. But we're well regarded. We like to think we are anyway. So that's us in a nutshell. What are the key things that a company that size in that kind of area, what were the first things you'd say to me if you were to come in and say, look, I'm going to revamp your online, your digital presence? What are the key things you'd look at?
So the first thing I'd actually look at is how can people find you? What kind of search terms they'd have to type in, whether that be financial recruitment services in Dublin, Galway, whatever that be. So we always look at search terms. You'll always see people, companies placing bidding ads against that search term. So for example, if you type up Grafton Digital, there might be a digital marketing company that's putting money against our name when people type that in. Therefore, they'll come up before us. Now, to battle that, obviously, you can be putting money into Google Ads and try to outbid the other company. It's a painful process. It takes a lot of time, but at the end of the day, if there's a huge amount of search traffic going through that, as developers, we can see the numbers that are going through a particular search term using Google Console. And I suppose I'd be also looking at what kind of content you're currently producing on your website. Are you posting blogs? Actually was only talking to kind of a governance design company in Dublin there, and they were trying to up their SEO and their website traffic, and they've been posting blogs, but they haven't actually shared it on their website, or they haven't actually put it on the forefront of their site. So therefore, people spend only like a minute maximum on your website. So in that minute you got to impress them, you got to lead them in, you've got to have that customer journey, that customer flow in. So I kind of look at that. I'd also put your website link into something called Google Developers Console, which will just run a check through. It'll give me a score from 0 to 100, preferably around the 80, both mobile and desktop, because Google looks at the speed of your website. So that depends on, your content, your imagery, what way you've uploaded that, have you compressed that, and all these little things. So, there's a huge checklist that like a developer like yourselves would need actual access to the back end of your site, so we can actually do an audit. After we do an audit, we would let you know, okay, so what would you like to achieve? Like some people would just like more traffic, some people would like to increase their phone calls, and some people would like to increase their followers. So then we'll tell them honestly, we always prioritize transparent communication, because I think in this industry, there's a lot of terms thrown around, and it's very hard to keep on top of all these new terms. We'll let you know, look, Mark, this is what we can do for you. We can't guarantee it, but we can't guarantee actual results, because with this, you can't really say, I'm going to get you 1,000 sales tomorrow, So it's going to be, we can do all the right, we can take all the right steps and the right approaches and play that game. And like I'd say 70 or 80% of the time, you'll actually see really positive results within a 6-month period. This 6-month period is very important, because Google takes, between 3 or 4 months to actually crawl the data that we kind of work on and put on and upload. So, there's all these little things, and we'd always set like goals, quarterly goals. What would you like to achieve in this quarter for your website and your presence, whether it be on LinkedIn, social media, whatever. And we'll do everything in our ability to actually help you achieve that. So that would probably be it.
Okay, and sorry, Luke. What?
I was going to say, just like on that. So thanks very much for Eric for running through that. Mark, like, have you ever thought about like the recruitee like journey is? Like, if you guys have the initial contact with them, do you think that they go and check you out, or is that a kind of?
Yeah, well, I can definitely see the areas on like basic stuff, on the back end of your website, where it's the homepage, it's jobs, current jobs, and it is meet the team.
Okay, so
we have other stuff, we've blogs, we've templates and CV templates and stuff. All by far, it's jobs and who, what have you got and who are you? And we're well aware of that. And yeah, so no, it's interesting. I always have in the past, like I've had these business ideas. I might have built a website to do it, selling a product, and then it was all looking brilliant. But then for some reason, I never bother with SEO. I just think, I've put so much effort into this. I'm too tired. I'm not gonna SEO. I'm not gonna rank high in this. Like, so my question is, let's say you have a product, let's say it's average amount of competition. Like it's not like you're not selling like, just plain t-shirts or something. Like it's something kind of specific. How long would it take? I know it's a silly question probably, but like realistically to get on page 1 of Google, how long is that going to take a company? Is it 6 months minimum? Is it 3 years? I know it's a very vague question, but just to give us an idea, like.
Yeah, like obviously it does depend on the product and a lot of different factors, but I suppose it also depends how much money you have to invest into advertising, and like I think consistency is key with anything. There's these Google runs an algorithm, Facebook runs an algorithm, Instagram runs an algorithm, etc. So it's and nobody kind of knows this algorithm. You can only kind of guess it from previous trends and from other people, that analyze this and try to actually give you the algorithm. So I think with consistent posting, like I'd like to say 6 months, you can be there on the first page. With advertisement campaigns, maybe within that 6 months, you'd probably spend about $5,000 to actually get there. But
is that Google Ads then?
That's just Google Ads. That's going straight to Google.
Is it so? How do we? We're all about skipping the queue. You're right. So how do I skip the queue? You got to pay Google Ads, really.
You got to pay Google Ads. Okay. Yeah. So Google is actually very smart. So it'll allow you to try and outbid the other companies that are putting the ads in. So it's a constant bidding war, because obviously they're taking on all the revenue from these businesses trying to get to the top. So now I genuinely recommend not just going Google Ads, and like do spend time in your actual, you know, physical website SEO, because if your website ranks and you'll just see like, instead of an actual introduction to what your business is or what your product is, you just see image, header, things like that, home services, you know, you're not putting attention into it. Then you're advertising on the wrong link. People won't click that, and if they will, they won't convert. So you know, it's kind of like that. And I like when you're doing a product launch, as you all know, I think you gotta respect all the different channels that you do your launches on, because I think when you release a product, you should be on all social media platforms, from LinkedIn all the way to Instagram and Twitter, and to create these consistent posting schedules. Because I suppose from working, you know, with other businesses on social media, we've really seen that consistency, a constant, regular posting schedule with high quality content and purpose content for that channel, respecting that audience. You know, we were able to achieve results much quicker than them just posting on random days and times, you know. And there's free software out there that will allow you to actually schedule your posts, such as your Facebook admin. You can now actually go into your calendar in your Facebook admin and schedule posts. It's simple.
So you used to be the likes of Buffer, companies like that.
Yeah, Hootsuite. We would use Hootsuite when we were in the social media space. Yeah, there's loads of them, and a lot of them are very, very user friendly and easy to use. And obviously, again, with consistent posts, you're driving traffic consistently to your website, and again, it's all helping your SEO ranking.
And to look at the social media side, then, is that an area that you guys are focusing on anymore? Then
no. So about within the last 12 months, we kind of moved away from it, and like a couple of different reasons, I suppose. One, it's more of a service-based industry, and especially in the SME space, we found anyway, it's very difficult month on month with the local cafe to try and come up with creative content and keep innovating month on month on month. And then obviously the whole thing of like, let's say the best posting time is 9 p.m. and then you're having local business owners, again, it's their baby, and they're like, oh, I agree, they would have green lighted it, and they're ringing me at 9:30 p.m. going, I'm actually not happy, we need to tweak this, you know. And obviously that was just a hugely stressful 2 years of them have my personal phone number. The other thing is, and in the way of scaling, because we see a lot of people, especially our age, set up digital marketing agencies, they're doing a bit of social media and content creation for companies, and when it's just you doing it, you can actually make some great money on it. But I suppose as we were trying to scale, so you have your copywriter, you have your social media marketing strategist, you've got your graphic designer, your photographer, trying to rope all that into an affordable monthly subscription for an SME business based in Galway, based in Dublin. We found that a very difficult process. Then COVID compounded that with the fact that, you know, we do a full plan for a cafe, then cafes are closed all month. So then they're like, we can't use that. The content's gone out the window. So then all just exasperated the whole idea. And then we kind of looked at the whole business and we said, well, websites, I think we can do some really good stuff there. There's good margins in websites. You know, I think let's just get really, really good at that rather than just being mediocre, let's say all three of them. So,
yeah. So you're thinking scalability, you know?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, which is what you should be thinking.
Yeah, like it's not something where I look to be here in 30 years still doing social media posts. For businesses. I want to keep scaling. Like obviously I'm still young, want more opportunities and get into new areas. And from a scalability standpoint, that was a really big hindrance, was the whole social media thing of trying to be month on month in contact with a client, doing reviews, doing tactical brainstorms. But it was really interesting though for us, I think as younger entrepreneurs though, to see the back end of a lot of businesses, like work with businesses, what are their challenges, what are the different industries, like who's making great money and who's having a great time and who's just working themselves to the bone and not really making much. So that was really, really interesting. And the whole idea of working with these different business owners and meeting all these different personalities early on, I think actually taught us a lot about what possible industries in the future we might get into, you know, what industries are maybe tempting, and then where is there good development in business. So it was definitely a really interesting process, and I wouldn't take it back either. I think it was a lot of learning done in that process. Yeah,
unbelievable. Like I think that's because it's a great observation to make so young as well, to say that there's like, if you're in an industry, I want to know, say if I was starting my own business, I'd want to see a lot of case studies of people like me doing that type of business that are, you know, driving Benzes. You know, I want to talk to like the cafe and stuff. I think that I applaud them because I love cafes, but that is going to be a tough life. That's getting up early, baking muffins, Mark, at all hours for a dollar margin on that muffin. Like, how many muffins you got to sell, Mark? I don't know.
I am a baker, but that's just my surname.
So that's an interesting thing to get access to all those backends. I think a lot of people that we've spoken to actually that worked in like all types of industries. If you get access to different companies, I think that's why what was part of the pitch of becoming a accountant, Mark, is a little bit like that. Like, you're going to get exposed to all different industries and stuff like that, and you'll get to learn. So that's kind of
yeah. Oh, definitely, yeah. In audit in particular, or tax, or any kind of accounts prep, you really get to know how get behind the bonnet, or whatever you'd say, of businesses, and see how they work, and from a financial point of view, and kind of an operational point of view as well. So I think sometimes as a young person, it's important to eliminate stuff that you don't want to do, because you literally can do anything you want, but that's actually a problem in a way, because you might hop onto a track, and then you're stuck on that track, and you're like, oh bollocks, why didn't someone tell me this is what it was going to be like? They only opened the curtain 3 years after my apprenticeship, essentially. And now I really know, and now I'm stuck, so it is good to see what you don't want to do, and because not every business is the same, and not every successful business is the same. Some people, are just working every hour under the sun, and some have just nailed it, and they're just like, this is a gravy train, and they might come across the same on just to see.
But I also think the really interesting one for us early on was so Dad would have been an entrepreneur of 25 years, so I would have seen someone building a business. He's in the waste industry, and it's really interesting, especially when we start working with other businesses, was, you might be turning over 2 million, but your net profit might only be 20 grand, or there's people turn over 500 grand, but they might have a net profit of 200 grand. So it was really interesting seeing, like, okay, you might have a very high, sales figure, but your net profit's next to zero. So that was really interesting as well, seeing like their bottom line. I mean, their sales figure isn't always a great indicator of how good of an industry it is to get into either, which was very interesting. And obviously, as an accountant, I never really thought of it like that. You get a really good look into the back end, and you get to see how good an operations manager they have in the business as well. So yeah, definitely, it definitely scared me away from certain different industries after doing the marketing and everything.
I think that when I was working in Vancouver, there was payment software. So what they would do, they would send me all of their payment stuff for like 12 months. So every single company, I know exactly what type of money they're making. And it's an interesting point that you guys were talking about there, the way some companies might be, have a 10% margin on 2 million, right? But it's a pain. Their life is really hard, right? And then there'd be some guy who rents ponies in the park. Mark was one of my customers, and dudes make like 300 grand a year. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, he seemed pretty laid back to me. And my point is, like, I love finding businesses where they're making like doing really well, and you're like, how could this be? This is not something that I know I will say this as well, Mark. It's kind of in the waste industry as well, but there's a guy down here in Wicklow, and you bring in your the cuttings from your trees and stuff like that, and he takes that for you for free. He puts it in a chipper and then sells the mulch. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, that's class.
That's
free money.
That's free money. He has a machine, and then so on one side, all the people are coming in, they're throwing the stuff in, and then the other side, he has it's not even his brand, like just random whoever needs like B2B business, they're just filling up their trucks. When I was a landscaper back when I was a teenager, we used to go there all the time, and it's like whatever, €400 for a pickup for and he's not even shoveling it in. A machine is putting it into the thing. It's a
automation right there.
I love a little scam like that. Right. I've been trying to come up with a scam for years.
Just because a business is handy and it works doesn't mean it's a scam. It feels like a scam. Lads, just to go back to your age and the fact that you're so young, and Luke mentioned the compound effect. The compound effect only actually works if you start, now or early. It works best if you start early. But a lot of people will say, and maybe it's a parent thing, like, relax, you've plenty of time, go to college, fine, maybe even do something else if you don't enjoy that, take a year off. Why do you not have that mentality? Are you guys different to your friends? Have you got friends or peers that are just like doing 3 or 4 year degree and then going to do an apprenticeship? Do you find that you kind of stick out? You're a little bit different in that way?
Yeah, I suppose probably both answer this because I suppose we both have different kind of perspectives on it. Like I said, Dad was an entrepreneur 25 years, and Dad's thing was first one in the morning, last one out at night, and that's the way he did for 25 years until he exited there 2 years ago. But I suppose when entrepreneurship became sexy then in the last 3 or 4 years, that didn't really affect me. Like I always, since I was a young kid, said I wanted to get into business. So I actually were talking to one of our teachers there, and I said to him when I was 12, I'm still doing French in school so I can get a visa for Canada and go set up a business in Canada, is what I said when I was 12 years old to one of my teachers, and she actually only mentioned that today. But I suppose I always wanted to get into business. I just didn't know what way I go about it. So it was always just looking for opportunities. And I suppose when I was in Leaving Cert, Eric would have been a year above me. He would have been just out of school with a full-time IT job. When he came to me and we started throwing around business ideas, when we landed on digital marketing, because it made sense and I'd seen that there was an industry and I could see what the likes of the US were doing in mainland Europe and other parts of the world doing amazing work on social media and on websites. It just made sense to go for it. Like we're in a moment in time where this makes sense to go for it. And yes, always there's the whole thing of having a chat with the parents about taking the gap year from college. Like I postponed my course for a year, which I never ended up going to. And obviously most of my friends are in college, but I suppose two of our personally closest friends, Thomas Arnold and Kevin Owens, who you both met. Yeah. Well, like that's our group as well. So I suppose I have the friends that are doing the college route and absolutely love it, and thankfully they are doing that. But we do have the friends as well that are in business around the same age as us, and we're all in the same sort of journey together. So I think it's just about finding the balance about, not getting too caught up in the entrepreneur lifestyle of going to New York and doing all this, and also enjoying being youthful and going and having a coffee in Galway City and just talking about, I suppose I'm big into MMA, so that sort of stuff, and doing training and stuff. So I think it's about finding that balance as a younger person, not get caught up in the big entrepreneurial lifestyle and just chasing the money the whole time, but actually having fulfillment and good quality relationships.
Yeah, I suppose like me, my parents, none of my parents or any of my family have an entrepreneurial background, but I suppose initially I took a year out after my Leaving Cert, and I would have worked part-time job in a hotel. I would have had a full-time IT job as well. I was saving up. I was trying to go to pilot school, which cost like 130 grand. So I was working up towards that. And as Daragh mentioned, we kind of came together, started chatting about, doing something. I suppose my initial want was quick cash. I wanted to make, quick money. Business just sounds like a lot of money. And I definitely fell in love with the process. So like that changed my life. We were having breakfast, and I was in between going to an Aer Lingus interview and doing like a cadetship, which Aer Lingus would have paid for, and or doing the business. And like, I was very lucky because Daragh was like, here, whichever one you think. And I suppose I loved the building of it. I loved our team. We had 3 people in our team at that point. I just loved the process. So I suppose it just kind of carried me on. And the point I just wanted to make there as well is, like, you see all these people driving these Benzes, Lamborghinis, whatever. They worked very, very hard for that money. Like, I think I've definitely have a big respect for money, because when I was doing my IT job, I would have been getting, really good salary for an 18-year-old, realistically, right? And when I got to taste the money, I just didn't respect it. But then when you start a business and you have to pay yourself, like we started off on like €100 a week just to kind of get ourselves on a payroll.
After a year.
Yeah. And like I would have jumped off a nice 40 grand salary. Yeah. That hurt. Yeah. That hurt, because I think we don't respect the money until we have to actually work and earn it. Like every single euro, we earn for the business is done by our team and us. So we respect it, it's there.
It's so great to get off the teat as early as possible, because as you get older, the monthly salary, I think it was Nassim Taleb, the author, said the 2 biggest addictions in humanity are heroin and a monthly salary. 2 are both something to worry about.
Yeah, it's crazy because like you get so comfortable. You get so, especially like I was 18, I had no expenses at all. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just had fun with it. But anyways, again, I'm in the same circle as Daragh with Kevin and Thomas, and like it's great that we have that circle together, because we can go to them and just relate on a couple of things. And you definitely have, like, I definitely experienced like a lot of separation kind of feeling, because I would have been very close to my friends, and the business has kind of closed that off because I would have been focused on the business, because that's my baby. That's our baby. You know what I mean? And like, I would have prioritized that over my social life, which I don't recommend, because you're just, you know, you're just going to burn out a lot of times and you're not going to have fun. And like, I think we're very lucky now that we can enjoy our youth while building business as well, because we have people that are chasing the same dream, you know?
Yeah. And you know what? We're coming up on time today, and there's a couple of questions that we usually ask, but I think maybe there's one that I think we both be interested, me, Mark, and also the listeners. You guys, 20, and you're, you know, in business a few years. Where do you see the business in 5 years' time? Are you guys still doing this the website stuff? Are you doing more kind of technical contracting work? Where do you guys see this going 5 years from now?
Yeah, it's hard to gauge, like, because you're talking about a quarter of my life so far. Like, it's always hard when people say 5-10 years, because you're talking about such a large chunk. Like, 5 years ago, I was in junior cert, so I didn't think I'd be here at 20. Yeah, like, I suppose as a very foundational thing, and as cliche as it sounds, like, genuinely just doing a job that we enjoy and doing that, like, and that's what we did from day one. Let's just create a job that we want to go to every single day and do that. I more than likely I see ourselves moving over towards the US, preferably West Coast because of the weather, you know, in the next 12 or 18 months, and just chasing opportunities that excite us. And I know that sounds very cliche, but just the world and the people we're surrounded with, just the sky's the limit, you know, and especially going over to the States and stuff. I suppose just doing something and working on projects that are enjoyable, and hopefully trying to make a living along the way as well, but genuinely just doing things that make me happy and intrigue me, and it's a constant challenge on my end anyway.
I think sorry, just to cut you off, Eric. I think it's probably a worthwhile exercise to actually start jotting down where you do want to see yourself in 5 years. And I don't mean as individuals, I mean as the brand, you know, Grafton Digital. You know, what are you building? You've said the word build a good few times, and if you've noticed it, but that's what you should focus on. You know, you're going to be enjoying the process. That's the job. You're kind of already living that dream, and you want to continue doing that. But what are you going to build? What's that going to look like? How many people are going to be involved? Where is it? What type of clients are you going to have? And not to be talking about the secret or anything like that, but kind of start to manifest it, because I do think the opportunity can manifest itself especially if you go over to the States.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
No, that's a really good point. And I suppose the only thing I want to add is what's really difficult for us is that we've done these 2-3 year plans before, you know, and we go 1 month on and it's like, wow, we either already achieved it, we're in a completely different direction. You know, it's very hard for us to actually adapt to this, because just constantly changing environment. Like 3 weeks ago, like I wasn't thinking that like we'll actually get to go over to the US this summer. And there you go. We now have the opportunity, you know, the vaccination is working. So like all these little things are just constantly drifting our lives. Like I would have planned to buy a house in Ireland, you know, get myself a nice car and kind of build a family here. But now that's not my plan at all. But I suppose with Grafton and everything, like I just want to make sure that whatever we do in 5 years' time, we're always giving back to, I suppose, the country. You know, think local and act global, I think, is what we kind of said is going to be one of our core values as such. And like I just want to be involved in many kind of opportunities, you know, in the next 5 years, and just kind of build this Grafton empire in a way that's fun to come and work with, you know. Maybe the next Microsoft, you know, who knows?
I like it. Mark,
that mindset of just being open, like you guys are, even like coming on the podcast, having chats with people, you know, you're as I always say, you're increasing your surface space for luck to land on, and you're going to have so many opportunities. You're going to do great.
Yeah. Mark, what would let's wrap this up. We're both in our 30s now, right? Which I thought was quite young. But it's not the case at all. What's the sage piece of advice? If you could say one guy, if you could reach back in time, you know, to being 20, given what the guys are talking about here, what would be your piece of advice that you'd say to the guys?
Probably, if I had to pick one thing, like I would say network as much as you can. I would say. Yeah. Look, there's loads of things I could say. I'm a real doer. I would say just fucking do the job. Just keep working, keep doing it. If you're going to think about something, don't overthink it, action it, just do it, and stuff will materialize out of it. So network, and whether that means going to all these groups that you've mentioned already, and you're already doing great networking. Cold email, cold call, just network. Every single method of networking, do it, and do a good job.
Nice. For me, I think you guys, again, 20, I'd say invest as much as you can. Like, I know that sounds really boring, and I had no interest. I used to work in an investment bank. I didn't invest. It was crazy. We used to buy like oil options, Mark. Do you remember? I called you then. We were in Casey Peaches in Dublin. I told Mark I was going to be a millionaire and, in my next suit, and didn't work out in the end. Blew up that account. Not the first one, actually, Mark, over the years. But I would say, so with the compound, like say if you put away $500 or €500 today in a investment account every month for 18 years, you have like $250,000 just on the side. Nice little nest egg. But
we've been doing it the last 12 months or so. We started
investing,
stocks and
crypto as well.
Been in crypto, but yeah.
Get that crypto going. We had some talked about crypto last week. Me and Mark are taking the plunge. We're going to go big though. We're going to leverage the houses. I think that's the
where are we going? Where is money going?
So we're going straight. Well, we're gonna go to the gold, right? We're gonna go Bitcoin. We're gonna buy 50K each. Let it ride. What do you think, Mark? I'll see you in.
We agreed this.
I don't know.
To the moon.
Guys, I wish you all the best of luck in America. I hope you guys. I hope you guys do well. I'm sure that you will. Lots of opportunities out there. Like Mark said, think about 5 years from now what you guys want to do. But you guys are crushing it already, and I hope I see you guys in Malibu or something like that soon, with lots of clients and lots of money and having lots of fun.
We'll send photos.
Yeah. and also, let's sit down in a year's time and repeat this interview.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let's do it. We're going to start doing that as well. We're going to try to get some of the guys back to see how things are going, and it's going to be great. So, listen, all the best of luck, lads. Thanks for coming on the SharkPod.
Thanks a million, lads.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
And we are...